Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is projection and how our inner experience projected outward has all kinds of impact rippling out into the world. And before we get started talking about that, I think it'll be a rich conversation, but let's take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your molecules, your cells, your electrons, and creating this brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub those hands and those palms together. Feel the friction, all that sensation, the temperature, the textures. And when you stop rubbing them together, feel that buzzing. Allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Friday. It happens quicker and quicker, it feels like. I don't know if that's true for you, but boy, oh boy, time just seems to fly by. Anyway, today's topic is projection. And this comes on the heels of an experience with our movie night on Sustainability Now last night. And it was a very enlightening and very challenging evening because there was a person there with us who very candidly and openly shared her rage and pain, which was extreme. I mean, this person has had such tragic, deeply tragic experiences in life. And I don't want to get too specific. So in the context of speaking their perspective, they made a lot of assumptions about how people might be perceiving what they had to say, who people were, what their perspectives were, and was making all kinds of judgments that actually were quite inaccurate and were coming from this deep experience of pain and alienation, feeling othered. And it was really interesting to see that that's what the behavior was othering others also. Good morning, Jenny. Welcome. It's great to have you here with us this morning. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. I'm bringing this up because in the experience of our pain, and it's not just the experience of our pain, it's the experience of our joy as well. But in the experience of our pain and our rage and our woundedness, we project that experience into and onto the world. And that actually is the case. Like our inner experience and our life experience and our response to that is something that we we have this developed internal matrix that then projects out onto the world and makes the world appear in particular ways that are a direct result of that perspective and experience. So when we're feeling down, we tend to notice things in the world. If we're not diligent about it, we tend to notice things in the world that our experience, so when we're down, we see the wrongs and the ills in the world more clearly, more readily. And when we're up, we see the beauty and the wonder. And the exercise is, when we're down, to find a way to find the beauty and the wonder. However, when this particular person has experienced profound, deep tragedy and is enraged, and oftentimes when we experience devastating situations in our lives, we often look for someone or something to blame. And it's not to say that there aren't someone's or some things to blame. There often are. However, I think also, and this is something that I look at, is like, what's the mechanism underlying that? In some way, there's an empowerment to that, because instead of experiences being random, if we're able to identify a perpetrator, a villain, and focus blame in some way, then I think that there's at least the assurance of believing that there's a cause. And that may be a little convoluted, but when we place blame, then we can say that's where this came from. That's why this happened. We're not at the effect of a universe that's totally haphazard. We can actually focus that rage and that agony on someone or something. Good morning, Gia. Welcome. So good to have you here with us. And also, Kimberly, welcome. So good to have you here with us. Jenny says, attitude of gratitude attracts positivity. I agree. My sister is a negative Nancy, always stating the worst, pointing out the negative. Right. So, like in this was a very extreme situation, because this person has endured things that no human should have to endure, and losses that no one should have to experience. I mean, extreme. Good morning, Lisa. So good to have you here with us. Welcome. And they are in a position of feeling, it looks to me like they're not just falling into hopelessness and helplessness. Instead, they are enraged, and that is bringing forward, some sense of control or interaction with the world, which is, a much more powerful place to be than being completely a victim, that, where you are at the effect of experiences that are incomprehensible, right? So when we have someone to blame or point the finger at, there's some solace in that. And especially, I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't someone that there isn't a perpetrator. However, what occurred was that experience of other became generalized to many other people, and assumptions made about those people and about their perspectives and their engagement with life and with issues, etc. And so the reason that I'm speaking about this is because it was like tragedy multiplying, potentially multiplying tragedy. Because if it had not been within the context of a group that was so, I'll just say, compassionate and evolved, then it would have devolved into even more opposition and pain. And so Jenny says, negative perspective is like not experiencing any positive. Yes. And so the perception, being entrenched, and this is whatever our perception is, being deeply entrenched in our own perspective, we project it onto the world. It impacts our ability to perceive what's there. And it colors our perception profoundly. And there was, like I said, if it had been a less enlightened group, there would have been damage done to multiple people. And potentially coming back to this person that was so evocative. And it just makes me think about how violence begets violence, or has, or it can easily. It doesn't always, because you might be in a place that's a place where people are understanding and compassionate. However, I really do believe that we propagate what we project. So Jenny says, like the saying, be careful of your thoughts, it can become your reality. Exactly. But there, here's the thing. There are certain things that occur in life that are so extreme that finding a way to be like this person's parents were murdered. This person was completely disenfranchised. And how do you and based on ethnicity. So how do you find a way to find the positive in the midst of trying to process the horror and the grief and the despair of that? I mean, the words are not adequate, right? So with that, the world can become becomes, with those kinds of experiences, the world can become a profoundly dark place to be. And when we come from that darkness, our assumptions also come from that darkness, and we project that darkness on others in anticipating their motivations, their motivations, their intentions, their communications. It's all filtered through that devastating experience and feeling of violation and victimization and persecution. And not that I'm not saying that all those things didn't exist, they did. And so at the hands of those kinds of experiences, when we project it outward, we potentially create more of it. And I saw this dynamic. I saw that there was no way, I was unable to find a way to penetrate that, to get to a more authentic and deep communication. And Jenny said, so sad. I pray she heals and gets help to process that trauma. Me too, Jenny. Me too, Jenny. It was just so profound to witness the depth of the trauma. And in the moments when someone is so deeply experiencing the repercussions of that kind of horror, what is there to do? What there may be to do is to just be present and to acknowledge the pain, not to try to change it, not to try to change the perspective, not to try to validate anything other than to be there for someone's experience. And I think there was a gift in this space that this occurred where there were open hearts that were able to look beyond the attack that came as part of the communication. Because it was coming from such deep, deep, deep tragedy and agony. The thing is that, this person's perception was projected, and it was just such an extreme example. This is something that we do. We don't even know we're doing it. Our reality is our reality. We believe it. And then we project that perception, that experience out onto our surrounding world. And it propagates potentially, maybe this is our next evolution, is to be able to presence ourselves to the essence of a person rather than the behavior, and to through that ability to presence ourselves and to be there for that person rather than to be buying into the projected opposition. Maybe there's a transcendent sort of healing that is available through that. So Jenny says, horrific. She continues reliving it and has to become conscious of it. I don't know what the time frame is here. I mean, this person's also homeless right now and has nothing, and is very much in the space of trying to navigate this, and demonstrating such strength and courage in the course of doing so. Jenny says, I have borderline personality disorder, and I know what you're talking about. Jenny, I don't know the definition of borderline personality disorder. And I'm hoping that having that knowledge for yourself is something that supports you in navigating the world more effectively. I really don't know anything about it. So I can't speak to it specifically, but also complex PTSD. So post-traumatic stress disorder. That's tough stuff, Jenny. Really tough stuff. You know, there's a movement now for there's a lot of research being done right now with psychedelic therapy for supporting transformation through PTSD, and childhood trauma causes it. I get it, Jenny. Yes. Yeah. So abuse, I've heard of borderline personality disorder, but I don't know enough about it. But I've been learning a lot about psychedelic therapy for trauma, for PTSD, for all kinds of other traumas. It might be something to look at. There's a lot of research, and there are clinics now, and they've been getting really remarkable results for people, where people's lives have been transformed with new perspectives. And, you know, trauma is a physiological experience. It's not just emotional or mental by any means. It registers physiologically with the body as well. And anyway, when we talk about projection, I mean, we project rainbows and unicorns on things too, you know, and sometimes don't see the realities that we're faced with because we want things to be sparkly and beautiful, you know, so we refuse to see what's there. I mean, that's the other end of the spectrum. And it shapes the way that we interpret our experience. It shapes the way we're able to interpret the world. Jenny says also for major depression, yes, the psychedelic therapy, it does reset. It resets. Not, I think what happens is it not just that it resets the brain, but it creates a new context for interpretation. It creates a new context for the way that we relate to the world, connecting us to a broader intelligence or a broader awareness. And so it puts things in a very different perspective. So anyway, I just see that anger creates more anger potentially. And maybe, like, again, I'm just going to say that maybe that's the evolution that's happening, is that we can allow ourselves to be present to someone else's anger and rage and not take it personally, you know, not integrate it in a way that we become really reactive about it, in terms of wanting to fight back or lash out in response. So Jenny says, tomorrow is my 46th birthday, counting my candles and my blessings. Lucky to be alive. Jenny, happy 46th. Thank you for sharing that with us. And good for you to be counting your blessings. That's what it's about, ideally. You know, I like to live in a world of rainbows and unicorns. And I think that there's room for all of it, you know, like I'm not gonna put rainbows and unicorns on top of someone's tragedies. But what I do recognize is that hatred breeds hatred, anger breeds anger, unless we've elevated ourselves to a place where we can have a broad enough perspective to bring compassion to the party and curiosity. So, so Jenny, I wish you awesome rainbows and unicorns and all kinds of wonder and joy and celebration for your birthday. And I just would like us all to be aware that our perspective on the world is something that is a subjective experience, and that it's not necessarily the truth. It may be our truth in a given moment, but it's not necessarily the truth. And when we feel separate, we communicate in ways that can be separating. So I guess what the message is, or the request is, or the invitation today is to notice your own perspective. Notice how perhaps you may be projecting assumptions, judgments, intentions onto other people in ways that may not be entirely accurate. And also to find a place of compassion when you experience people that are acting out of their own experience and projections. And it may be that through those places of compassion, those moments where we're able to harness that detachment enough to feel that compassion, then we can create a better world. So Bernadette, welcome. I'm glad you made it at least to say good morning. So tomorrow is Saturday, and I just do this on weekdays. So I'm going to wish you guys an amazing weekend with lots and lots of love. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network, EWN One with the Earth, and Enlightened World Living. So Bernadette says, oh crap, I've lost a day, LOL. That's so funny. That's so funny. Jenny says, I hope to video chat with my grandson, but I don't think my daughter will allow it. Jenny, keep open to possibility. You know, things are shifting and changing. You never know, right? Life is an unfolding adventure, correct? Anyway, so much love to you, so much appreciation for your engagement. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys showing up and participating and being willing to have these conversations, to think about these challenging topics. You know, it's through awareness that we get to grow and evolve. So anyway, until next time, lots and lots of love, wishing you an awesome weekend, and I hope to see you again